It is March 10th, and I still suck at time zones. I have set up my first ever live stream, which should happen at 3:30 p.m. my time, which is Eastern time, which at the moment I think is also Eastern Standard because we haven't sprung forward to be in Eastern Daylight yet. I hate time zones. I hate trying to figure it out. All I know is that my phone says that Madrid is +6 hours. So hopefully my co-hosts get to join me on this today. I have no idea how long it's going to be or what I'm doing, so that's fun. But hey, we're learning and we're learning together, and learning is a good thing. So yeah. Also, I'm hoping that whoever is in my backyard chopping down a tree, well, it's between my yard and my neighbor's backyard. They have safety cones on my side. They're doing the work from my neighbor's yard. Anyways, there are tree limbs that are affecting the power lines, and somebody is finally trimming those, which is fabulous and should have happened a long time ago. But I'm really glad that they're here now. But hopefully I won't be trying to talk on the live stream and then be like, "Arrgh." So I also need to work on scripting out some videos today, or writing some book reviews, or both, because I'm behind on that. I also still haven't posted my Instagram BIPOC rec stuff yet, which I need to do, which I've already done, but now I have to figure out a new way of doing it so it doesn't look the same as my other post. So that's going to be a thing that I have to do hopefully before my next sleep. And then I also have to figure out what book I'm going to read during the reading sprints live stream. And I think it's either going to be the manga classics adaptation of Emma, or it's going to be The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I've had on my shelf since day one of its release, and for some reason still have not read because I'm scared, because I saw early review copies of it going out and people being like, I don't know. And then I've seen other reviews of it where people are like, I love it. And I don't know why I'm letting this get to me, because obviously I'm going to have my own opinions and stuff. And I don't know why I'm letting other people that I don't even really know that well have their opinions affect me so much. But I just need to bite the bullet and read the book and see what I think of it, because I do like a lot of V. Schwab's writing. I don't like all of her stuff, but I do like quite a good bit of it. And the premise of it sounds cool. And I took the dust jacket off, and I'm gonna try to make it show up there. You can kind of see it. There are burbs. There are burbs stamped into the cover, and it makes me very happy. And there is gold detailing, and it's shiny, and there are burbs, and I love that. So hopefully I love the book too. So apparently Addie LaRue's birthday is on March 10th, and I just so happen to have started reading this on March 10th completely by accident. Fun facts. It is the next morning, and I have a book hangover, but it's not from Addie LaRue. Like, she's definitely a vibe, because basically what's happened in the very opening is she's told not to make a deal with the gods of old who come out in the night, and she gets put into a situation where she's in an arranged marriage, and she loathes that idea. She feels like she's going to be trapped in her little town with this husband that really doesn't care about her, and she's all kinds of not into it because she wants to see the world. And essentially she makes a deal with the devil to not have to deal with any of that. And from now on, after she's made that deal, no one can remember her past like a few minutes or whatever. Or at least that's what it seems like at the beginning of the book. But I was also in the middle of reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and I went back to that yesterday, and I finished it in the wee hours of this morning because I could not put it down. And oh my lord, it was so good. Like, in the beginning parts of the book, really up until like the last, I don't know, 30-40%, the pacing is slow. Like, you're getting to know the characters really well and what they're doing and what motivates them and their internal struggles. And it's very, very similar to the Wheel of Time in pacing regards with that. Like, it's insanely similar. I totally see why he got tapped to finish the Wheel of Time now after reading Elantris. But it's just, I love Serene. She's the best ever because she knows how to use soft power and how to turn soft power into hard power, and she's smart, and she's like a normal woman in her culture, but she's like really smart, and her being smart is a little bit intimidating, and she became a social outcast a bit in her own society because of a decision she made. But she decides, you know what, I'm gonna go marry this other guy because it would secure my kingdom's safety, and that's what I'm gonna do. So she goes and does things, and shenanigans happen, and her growth arc is so good. And like, I think I love the coming into yourself and realizing who you are is like a cool and sexy kind of vibe, because that's very much the archetype that she follows. It's not that she never was into herself so much as she finally just started doing the things that she's always done and not taking no for an answer and knowing how to throw her weight around. And she's like, you know what, this is fine, everything's fine. And it's just so good. Because of the struggles that everyone goes through and the amount of tedious work that Sanderson has done setting up the ending, it could have very easily felt like a Deus Ex Machina ending because of how well everything wrapped up. But because he spent that time developing all the characters and their struggles, it feels so rewarding at the end that I physically whooped. Like, I couldn't do it loudly because my partner was asleep in bed next to me, but I went, when I heard parts of the ending, I'm like, this is so rewarding. So now I'm sad that I've finished it and that the sequels in the series aren't set to come out for another year or two, at least. But I'm so happy. I'm so happy with this story. I already knew I liked female characters that Sanderson writes. I love Spensa from is it Starlight? Stars? I'll put it here. Love Spensa. I love Serene just as much, if not more. I think more, because she obviously gets more limelight because it's a longer book and it's an adult novel instead of a YA sci-fi, and just, I love it. I love it so much. So much. I also really liked the wide variance of how women are portrayed in the story, because it fits in their society compared to like ye old European times. At least it's very similar to a great degree, but like, you have the women who just like to prattle on and annoy people, and you have the women who are basically merchant kings because they're really good at making deals and driving a hard bargain and being really good at what they do. And then you have the women who are like, you know, I'm tired of, in my society, just being someone who knits and sews and stuff, and I want to learn fencing, so I'm gonna learn fencing now. And then you have Serene, who's like, I'm not like the other girls, but it's not because she's the I'm not like them trope. It's more of because she's a foreigner from a different country who is
very up to date on the knowledge of how the society works, yet decides to just go by her own path anyways. And it's not that she doesn't get along with the other women, because she definitely gets along with the women in her family. It's because she has set herself up inadvertently as a societal leader, and because she's so smart and she's a societal leader, people are like kind of intimidated by that, which is, I feel like, fairly normal of an expectation. And then also, she's like basically 6 feet tall and really unusual because she's tall and whatnot, but also she's like, yeah, I can wear pants and fence really good, but I heckin' love a really pretty dress and dressing up when I want to, and it's just, oh, thank you. We didn't have to have a, like, not that there's anything wrong with super butch woman, like, that's definitely an archetype I like too, and kick ass however you want to kick ass, but the fact that we have a female lead who is kicking so much ass, who is a leader, who doesn't have to wear only men's clothes to portray that she can sling just as much power as any man in this society and still be wearing her own clothes and feeling really pretty at the same time, doing her own thing. Yes, thank you. I also read 2 issues of The Way of the House Husband, which is a manga about a man who used to be in the Japanese game the Yakuza, and now he's a house husband, and that's how he's protecting his family and whatnot. But also, he just gets into all of these shenanigans because he still thinks like a gang leader, and like everybody's still intimidated by him because of the air he puts out, but he's doing totally normal house person things. Like, he's like, I shall clean all the things and I shall cook all the things to perfection, and come here, kitty, let me give you a pat, and just like supporting his wife in her endeavors. And it's just a really fun thing to see, not only that interpretation of the typical trope flip where you have not a housewife but a house husband, but also that he used to be a gang leader, and that crops up all the time in his life now for how he interprets things and how other people interpret him. And is really amusing. The police just straight up are really honed in on him for a while, and they're like, this guy's shady, he used to be the leader of this gang, and blah blah blah, we're gonna do a drug bust. And then it turns out that he just has herbs from his garden, and they're like, oh, so you're really not a gang leader anymore, you're just feminine. And I'm like, interesting interpretation on feminine, but also hilarious with the way that the story was going. And this is hilarious, and I only found out about it because it's getting a Netflix release soon, and just the trailer for the show got me. I'm like, yes, sign me up. But now that I'm reading the manga, I'm like, I don't know how you're gonna turn this into full-length episodes, but I am there for it.
So, from a couple videos ago, you'll know I've been slowly reading through Not Your Mother's Slow Cooker, which is a book that Tyler picked up for 50 cents from the library because they were getting rid of their copy and he thought it looked pretty good. And he was totally right, because, as you can see, there are many, many, many recipes I would love to try out of this book. And because it's a slow cooker cookbook, that means I'll be able to make a lot of these recipes even when I'm having a bad day, and I won't have to worry about, did I leave the oven on, or did I leave the stove on and am I going to burn something, because it's a slow cooker. You just set it and forget it. And in most of these instances, like generally when I wake up in the mornings, I have some energy. Usually.
As long as it's not stormy, which next week is not looking like fun because the weather looks like crap. But I digress.
Usually I can get something going in the morning, but by the time the evening comes around, I can't handle it. And that's what slow cooker cooking is great for, because you just go do it in the morning when you have energy, and then you come back to cooked food later. And then by that time, Tyler's home and he can put the food away for me and I don't have to worry about it. So this is pretty great and I'm really excited. Adaptive cooking, great thing. I just saw Kayla's description of the Poppy War, and now I kinda want to cheat on Addie LaRue and pick up my e-copy of the Poppy War. Why do I do this? Why do I always get distracted by other books? I even got distracted from Elantris by Addie LaRue and maybe a couple other books. I can't remember. My brain is all mush right now. And I just... Sometimes I wish I could just read one thing at a time and have a one-track mind and all that jazz, but... It is a different day. I don't know how this vlog is turning out because I haven't been editing it as I've been going, which is way easier to do. I just did the first cut of it last night, so I think I left off with being indecisive about whether I wanted to keep reading Addie LaRue or switch to the Poppy War. Well, I went through more indecision because I looked at my bookshelf and saw all of my books that I had checked out from the library, because right now my library pile is getting out of control. And the last book that I have to finish before taking everything back to the library is Emma. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm not sure how interested I'll be in this story, but it has my interest enough so far to totally keep going. I read the first third of it last night before my hands got tired, because weirdly, I have discovered as time goes on, it's easier for me to read hardback books than it is for me to read paperbacks, because while paperbacks are floppy, the pages don't flop all the way open to see everything. Like, this is how much it flops open. A hardback you do that with and it lays flat, if not droops more, just because of the way the spine's made. And with floppy paperbacks, you have to make a conscious effort to hold them open. So now I'm having to take breaks when I don't want to, because it's hard for me to open a book, which is really annoying, but that's just EDS life, I guess. So I'm going to keep reading and try to see if there is another classic that I want to pick up the original of, I guess. rich people love story, but also way too roundabout, not nearly direct as it should have been, and matchmaking terribly. I hate it. I will definitely not be picking up the original. Why is it so hard for me to find classics that I actually like? I need a pick-me-up after that, because I did not care much for it. So, sorry, I just don't like Emma. But what I do typically like, especially since you can read a couple of them and they're short, is poetry. Generally poems are shorter. And this very much follows the typical poetry which I kind of grew up on, I guess, is a good way of saying it. I had to import this particular copy from Canada because I wanted the birds, because this edition is absolutely beautiful, and I don't know why they changed the US version. The UK version has feathers on it everywhere, but it's not this, and this is glorious. I don't know why they messed with it. Come on. But oh my gosh, I forgot how powerful poetry can be sometimes, because I just read Ghost Cat, which is the second entry in this book. It starts out by talking about dementia in cats, and by the end of it, we're talking about dementia in human women, because generally when you get older, you produce more testosterone towards the end, seemingly. And oof, it ends with, and when I go that way, grow fur, start howling, scratch at your airwaves. No matter who I claim I am or how I love you, turn the key, bar the window. That just got real sad real quick. And having seen dementia take a lot of my family members from me, that hit. Like, you can tell Margaret's afraid of this and has seen it. Like, that hit. Quick book update. Dearly by Margaret Atwood is turning out to be absolutely fabulous. I love this style of poetry so much. I have received a misprint of the books, which really sucks because I imported this copy from Canada because it's the prettiest one in my opinion. So I contacted Indigo, who are the ones who will ship it to the US, and they have been absolutely fabulous about working with me to either replace my copy or refund me or partial refund, because it's mostly readable and I really don't want it to go to landfill, so I really don't want to send it back. But they've been really great about me asking for what pages are messed up and what words I can't read, and they have looked it up for me so I can write it in. So that's really cool, Indigo. I like that. And I still haven't switched books yet, aside from like picking up poetry, so I'm still reading Addie LaRue. And okay, the first 100 pages, they were okay. It was a vibe, but it, like, I could take it or leave it. And then around page 120, things started to really pick up. And then, like, around page 200, it got real interesting. So now I think I'm about halfway through it, and I'm pretty well glued to the story, and I'm very excited to see where this goes. And hopefully I continue to like it, since it's gradually picked up more and more for me as I've continued reading it. So I just finished The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I can say one thing for certain. This book is closer to a memoir with pieces of magical realism than it is to the fantasy I was kind of expecting. I'm not mad at it. It made me feel a lot of feels. And like life, there is no main plot necessarily. It just meanders and wanders, and as you get to know the characters, they also make you question what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is just, and what is greed, and just this is what V.E. Schwab does in like Vicious and Vengeful, where she makes you question black and white and look into the gray and live in the gray and examine the gray that is life, for which I greatly appreciate it. There were times when I was reading this when I just wasn't really that into it. Like I said before, there are other times where I was speed reading because I was excited to see where it was going, but I felt it was a little bit too wordy. And there were other times where I slowed all the way down because I wanted to savor it and I didn't want it to be over. And those bits and pieces where I was changing my reading speed and how much I was really into the book wove throughout the story. Kind of like when you live through pieces of your life, you really enjoy certain pieces, and then others of it, it's just kind of blah. And I think with that, this is the 5th book. In any case, this vlog is getting very long because I've already edited part of it, and it's long enough. So I think I'm going to end here on this vlog, and we'll pick up with another book in the next one. So I'll see you then. If you've made it this far, leave me a tea or coffee emoji down in the comments below. Or if you don't have access to those emojis, just leave me a little smiley face. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!